this short lesson is going to look at three different properties of numbers. The commutative property of addition and multiplication, and then in the second we're going to talk about the associative property and the distributive property. But the first property, commutative property. What does it mean to commute? Think about when I say the word commute. What's the first thing that pops into your mind? Well, for most people it's traveling, and usually traveling from home to school or from home to work. So in other words, going from point A to point B. And now, when you go somewhere, you're going to return eventually, and if you don't go out of your way, or as long as you take the same route back, that's going to equal point B back to point A. Right? As long as you take the same route going from home to work, that's going to equal the same route going from work back home. So we can use this idea and apply it to addition and multiplication. In other words, 5 plus 3 equals 3 plus 5. Or 2 plus 7 equals 7 plus 2. And this also holds for multiplication as well. So 3 times 4 equals 4 times 3. Or 9 times 11 equals 11 times 9. That's the commutative property of addition and multiplication. So notice it does not work for subtraction and division. So just to give you a quick example, five minus 3 does not equal 3 minus 5. This would be 2 and this would be negative 2. So it does not hold there. Let's look at the associative property. Now if I say the word to associate, what does that mean to you? Well, it means that, could mean other things, but it means that you group together, or you associate with a group, where you identify with a certain group of things or people. So the associative property says that if you have two numbers, A plus B, whatever they might be, and add them first and then add a third number, that's going to equal the same thing as if you add the last two numbers and then add the first two. Let's take a look at an example. So if we group the 2 plus 3 here first and then add the 4, that's going to be the same result as grouping the 3 and 4 first in addition and then adding the 2. This would be 5 plus 4. This would be 2 plus 7. And they both equal 9. And notice this holds for multiplication as well. So A times B and then multiplying C is going to equal B times C and then multiplying A. Let's see that with 2, 3, and 4 again. So this is 2 times 3 is 6. 3 times 4 is 12. And 6 times 4 equals 24, and 2 times 12 equals 24 as well. Okay, so let's look at one more. That's the associative property. Let's look at one more property over here. The distributive property. So what does it mean to distribute? Or think of it this way, if on midterm day or final exam day I needed some help and I asked you to help me distribute these exams, what does that mean to do? Well, it means to give to or to give out to. So we can look at the distributive prop, and in that similar, using that similar idea, we can look at distribution for multiplication over addition. And what I mean is, if we have two numbers and add them together, b plus c, what we can do is take our a and distribute it and give it to the b and also give it to the c through multiplication, and that will equal a times b plus a times c. So let's look at an example. So if we have 6 and distribute it to 3 plus 4. Well, first let's say we did the parentheses. Let's say we did 3 plus 4. 3 plus 4 is 7. And 6 times 7 would equal 42. Okay? But let's say now I distribute the 6 to the 3 and the 4 by multiplication. In other words, I give out the 6 to them. 6 times 3 is 18. 6 times 4 is 24. And 18 plus 24 is 42. So still gets us the same answer. Now this also holds the distributive property of multiplication. If this is subtraction, it still holds as well. So in other words, let's say I'll pick some new numbers. Seven and distribute it to 6 minus 4. Well, 6 minus 4 is 2. And 7 times 2 is 14. But now let's say I distribute. So I'm going to do 7 times 6. And I'm going to do 7 times 4. And that gets me 42 minus 28. And 42 minus 28 is 14 as well. Now you might be saying, why don't we just do the subtraction or the addition in parentheses and then at the end multiply? Well, when we're using numbers like this, that's how we should do it. But we need this technique, this distribution technique, when we start to get into solving algebraic equations with unlike terms. And we'll get to that in a future lesson. So this concludes this video on the commutative property, associative property, and distributive property.